So let's begin by just tracing the A. And the A is very much like the M. It has those angular baselines. So I'm going to go quickly. Since I've already shown you how to trace, I'm going to do this very quickly. Again, if you need to manipulate the points, go to the Direct Select tool. And you can move these by selecting just the individual points. And then we'll draw the inside of the A. Now this is tricky because, again, this graphic is so dark, rough, that it's hard to see where to join the two. We'll go again and trace each letter, including the opening. Again, I split the difference. And another thing, if you find that the green, because I'm having a little bit of difficulty here with the green not wanting to show up, you can double-click your layer and change this color to something darker. Let's go to maybe a blue. And so now all the outlines show up as a darker value. So you can always double-click on the layer to change any of its properties. Here you can move the handles to reshape the point. Let's draw the inside. Alright, you get the idea. So I'm going to finish these, and then when I come back to the video, everything will be done. Now, as you see, we've returned, and I've traced everything but the last T. I want to show you, and I believe I may have mentioned this before, you may simply click, hold, drag a letter that you already have and need a copy of, then hold the Option and Shift key down as you drag it. Notice how that made a copy of the T. It did not move it, it just made a copy in a new position. So let me do that again. I begin dragging, then I hit the Option and Shift, and a new T is there, and I can then use the cursor keys on the keyboard to manipulate its position. Now, in order to have openings in our letters, let me select all of these. If I were simply to fill them with the blue, which I go to the swatches window, let me drag this over here, and the color is this value, 100% cyan. If I click just on that, notice how the openings of the letters are still just as solid as before. What we need to do then is we need to go to our Pathfinder window while selecting the object and its opening, in this case a letter with its opening. We'll go to Pathfinder, which I happen to have here, but it is also, again, under your window palette. I believe it's under Objects Layout, or it may just be Pathfinder as well. So let's bring this down, and we're going to go to the various Pathfinder shapes. We want to create and exclude an overlap, and we will click, and now we have our opening. So that will apply to all of the other letters, the D, and then finally the P. Now, then again we will select, and because I have the layers locked, let me bring the layers back out. Notice that I have everything locked but the art department layer. So I can simply click and drag across it, click on the stroke value, and then tell it to have no value or none. So now our art department is sufficient to what we need. The last part of this is simply to, let's lock this layer, let's unlock MC layer, and again we can click across those, remove the stroke value, change the fill value to paper. We're going to lock that layer again, and then click on layer 1 and then go to the create layer. Then drag it down to between the MC layer and the layer 1. I'm going to double click and name this background. Now this will be the blue background as well as the yellow bar. So begin first by creating the cyan background to the size of the logo. Then I will go to swatches, and if that closes, just click on the name swatches and it will reopen. We want to have cyan as our color. Then I'm going to make another layer. Actually, in order to make us be able to see this, we're going to turn this invisible, make another layer, drag it down to be above background, and we're going to call this yellow bar. I think the yellow bar would be fine. And then we will create a frame for that. And then we will fill it with full yellow. Now, turn the background back on, turn layer 1 off. You notice that we have little eyeballs on our layer, and we can turn just what we want to be visible on at any given moment. And then of course we can click on preview to see how that looks. Now you may go back to your direct select tool. Let's get out of preview. And you may want to unlock some layers. And again, we could have named layer 3, could have named that art department so that we'd know what that was. And you can go back in with your direct select, and Command plus zooms in. We can zoom in and we can tweak these points without removing that exclude Pathfinder value. The A may be a little bit too thick. Maybe you want to hold the shift key down and select 2 points and then move them in a little bit. Notice how I just clicked on Command 0 fit to window. Sometimes the scroll gets stuck on the mouse I have. So let's zoom in, direct select, click, then hold the shift key down and click again. This again was a direct select, and then do that. And I'll fit to window. And that looks a little better. So once you're happy with that, you'll save your document. And we'll call this this 205 ID project 6. Again, you may name it differently, and I'm just going to call it Logo Recreate. Okay, and then we'll make a PDF, as we always do. Make sure it's going to the right drive, and let's make it high print quality, crops, and registration marks. And I would make sure that layer 1 is not visible, in case your background doesn't completely cover the placed logo. Then you can do that, and then we'll export, and you are done. Again, if you have any questions, please email those to me. And this is the only project for the week, so you should have time to go back and forth and do several tries at this to feel free. I'm not grading on accuracy, so try to be as accurate as you can, but obviously this is your first excursion into the pen tool, so I understand it's going to be a little bit difficult. And on the curves, if you have trouble making the precise curves, you might just want to click and move a short distance to create the curves at first. But please do try to make the curves by click, hold, drag to make those curve handles.